You're watching Sky Sports News, our special programme rounding up the World Cup draw for you. Reaction from around the world and our studio experts in just a second. If you're just coming in, these are the groups as drawn out, completed in the last few moments in Qatar. And the host nation are in Group A, along with Ecuador, Senegal and the Netherlands. England are in Group B, and so are whoever gets through from Wales, Scotland and the Ukraine. Those playoffs in June at the earliest, and they're joined by Iran and the USA, which is a draw that all the home nations are going to be pretty happy with. We'll bring you reaction later on this evening on Sky Sports News. Group C looks like this. Argentina and Mexico in with Poland and Saudi Arabia. That's Group C. Group D has the holders France along with Denmark, Tunisia and whoever comes through from that intercontinental playoff involving Peru and the winners of Australia and the UAE. So that's a complicated group still to be sorted out in June. Group E has got Spain and Germany. How about that for a challenge for Japan and the winner of the other intercontinental playoff between Costa Rica and New Zealand. Group F involves the team who were ranked 1 in the world until yesterday, Belgium, now ranked 2, and hot favourites to come through, you would think, along with Croatia, who did so well in the last tournament in Russia, Canada in their first World Cup for 36 years, and Morocco completing that group. Moving on to Group G, where we find Brazil, along with redoubtable European opponents, experienced campaigners in major tournaments, Serbia and Switzerland, and Cameroon are the African side in Group G. And Group H, Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay and South Korea. So some top strikers involved in that group. Heung-min Son, Cristiano Ronaldo, Luis Suarez, who scored as Uruguay won 2-0 a couple of nights ago to make sure that they did get through to this stage. We're going around the world to get a reaction from our international experts very shortly, but first let's just ponder some more with Alan Smith, Sam Ricketts and Stephen Presley and Melissa Reddy, our senior reporter, who's here. Do you see any downside at all, Alan, from the group that England have been drawn in? Iran, USA and Scotland, Wales or Ukraine?
Well, it's the unknown, I suppose, isn't it? You mentioned it, Nick, the fact that Southgate doesn't know who that fourth team will be. And we don't know when he will know either. Still yet to be arranged, doesn't it, the Scotland-Ukraine game? So that's the only downside. But apart from that, he's got to be satisfied, hasn't he?
Very. That's the fixture list for England. So Iran, the opening game, only 8 days after the end of the Premier League season. Then the USA. And if all went really well from a Gareth Southgate England point of view, they could be already qualified by the time they face Ukraine, Wales or Scotland. But that's the kind of talk that tempts terrible things. So I never said that. Stephen Presley, from a Scotland point of view, what are you thinking?
Very satisfied with the group. You know, when you talk about England, I'm not convinced that Gareth Southgate from pot 4 wanted either Scotland or Wales, to be perfectly honest. It's a game that brings added pressure. You know, we're the underdogs, we want to prove ourselves on the world stage, so I don't think that was the ideal draw for himself. USA and Iran, yes, both teams with really not a great deal in terms of household names. We obviously know Pulisic from Chelsea. There's also Robinson, who's plying his trade at Fulham, and in Iran they've also got Taremi, who's got a terrific goal-scoring history, and most recently at Porto. So although these sides do not have household names, rest assured they will be good teams. So, but in terms of the group, I think it's a very favourable group for us.
Sam Ricketts, what is Rob Page thinking tonight?
I think probably Stephen summed it up there. I think you couldn't ask for much of a better chance to get out of a group. We know, obviously, England very well, Iran and the USA, two teams which, like we're saying, you go into the World Cup, there are definitely no easy games, all good teams. But if you look at the other groups, that's why I was edging sort of that way as it was getting drawn, that's probably the best chance Wales are going to have to get out of a group.